friends, Lissa here for a video that I'm doing with Linda, Nate's mama. We are going to be talking about a topic that I don't share much on my channel because I don't actually do it. But I've learned so much since meeting Linda on fasting. So I really wanted to do a video because I know a lot of people fast or want to fast or have heard about fasting, and I wanted to talk to her because she's basically fasting queen. And I've learned, like I said, I've learned so much. I don't share about fasting on my channel because people tend to jump right into a fast without having the proper preparation. They don't know what kind of fast to do. Maybe they are, you know, burdening their body with cooked foods and animal products and all of that fun stuff. That is causing maybe them to have more severe reactions when they're fasting. So we're going to talk about all of that in this video. So I'm glad that I can have you here with me to talk about it.
I'm glad I am too. So, have you fasted before?
I have fasted before, back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago. I was a master cleanser, so I've done master cleanse quite a few times. I've broken it improperly a few times. I've broken it properly a few times. I've had my experiences with it, but since going raw in 2014, I haven't fasted until meeting you. I've kind of been learning a little bit more about the fasting. It's not that I didn't know about the fasting. It's kind of like I just didn't. It wasn't part of my life. It wasn't something that I felt I needed to do. So I haven't done the fasting since going raw. But yes, I have fasted and I've done it wrong. I've done it right though at the same time. So yeah, I've had some interesting experiences. But that's another reason why we wanted to do this video for you guys, because we want to talk about fasting and the different kinds. So there are, firstly, we are not doctors. We're just two wonderful women who are sharing with you guys experience and what we've learned along the way. So take it as that, and if you need help, please go see your health practitioner. Make sure that you are watched over and make sure that you're doing it right. But we're just going to share with you right now kind of what we learned and what we know, mainly what Linda knows, because I'm learning it all from her. So
one thing we wanted to add was animals in the wild and domestic, they fast when they're injured or need something healed. They won't eat or drink anything. And sometimes it can last just a day, and sometimes it can last for, you know, quite a few days. But that's just their natural instinct not to eat or drink anything. And so
and we're animals.
We're animals.
Right? And we just have this disconnect with feeling like maybe we need to abstain from eating, you know, or just drinking water or whatever. We are so disconnected from that. It's not part of our lives because we're not taught at a young age, you know, this is what happens. But if we were wild animals and you're sick, if you have food poisoning even, you just don't want to eat. If you have the flu, you just don't feel like eating. And
when
it's
you're
just
ill, you don't want to eat. When you're really ill, you don't want to eat. It's just not appealing. So
yeah, so that was something that we wanted to throw in there about, you know, kind of like it is natural to fast.
It's a very natural phenomenon. In the, you know, history books, when harvest was over, there was no food to eat. So people normally fasted on water or dry fasted. It was just a normal phenomenon because of the weather and the way that the harvest was done, and there was nothing to eat except maybe a little bit of herbs.
So they would fast. And that's another thing too, you know, animals would fast in two circumstances: when they were sick or when there was no food around.
And so, we're the same way. We were the same way, but we just have stores on every corner now, so you know, we just think we can eat 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
if we
right.
wanted to.
I know, and that's stopping ourselves.
So,
but I wanted to talk about the different forms of fasting. So there's basically 3 forms.
Right. There's 3 forms of fasting. There's juice fasting, then there's water fasting, and then the top of the mountain is that they call it is dry fasting, where you don't eat or drink anything.
Dry fasting. So juice fasting, what would be a standard juice fast?
Oh, a standard juice fast would be like a mono fruit fast. Watermelon juice, orange juice, apple juice, celery juice. Celery juice is pretty potent, but you could cut it with apples. But, you know, just a specific kind of fruit juice. So
yeah, and you would do, and I've heard there's different kinds of juice fasting too. You could do like green juice fasting,
Right.
do different fruit juice fasting, but yeah, the mono fruit
Right.
tends to be the easiest on the system because
It
it's
is.
one fruit. The body doesn't have to deal with anything extra.
Yes.
How long do people typically go for on juice fasts?
So normally a lot of people just go, when they start out, they go for a week. 7 days is usually a good starting point, because that way you get the feel of what a juice fast is. And like you were saying, green juice fasting is really, really popular. You get all the nutrients from the greens, and it's very, very cleansing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we can get into a little further, going into the water fasting, which is something that a lot of people in the raw vegan world, even the vegan world, and even mainstream try to do water fasting, but that can get a little dangerous if you don't know your body,
Right.
if you're not paying attention to the signs and symptoms, if you don't know how to get into it and how to break it, which is the most important. So what would be a typical water fast?
So if I were to, you know, have someone talk to me about water fasting, I would suggest doing a 3-day water fast to start. Because you don't get any nutrients from the water. You want to use purified or distilled water to, you know, to drink. Definitely not tap water, but 3 days is a good starting point, because that way you basically get a feel for it. You do go through the cravings, because by the second day your body's craving, you know,
What it's used to needs
what's
some,
yes, and so you don't have the different enzymes and everything from the green juices. It's just water, so it's kind of tricky mentally, but it's definitely doable. 3 day, and then you would just keep going from there. You'd break that and go on, you know, your next fast. You'd go for 7 days. Try and go for 7 days.
Yeah, and work your way up, because you know what we're going to talk about later on. It's not a race, you guys. It's not a race. It's not a competition. Your body is your body, and it's going through things. It needs to heal certain things. It's got its own list of stuff to do. So you know, a lot of people online. This is exactly why I have never shared about fasting, because a lot of people will be in the forums or in groups or whatever, and someone will be like, "Oh, I'm doing a 40-day master cleanse," or "I'm doing, you know, a 21-day water fast," and then everybody just jumps on and they want to do it too. And it's understandable, because if you're sick, you want to figure something out. You're like, "Oh, well, maybe this will work for me too." But most people who just jump in don't have the foundation, and that's what we were going to talk about in a second.
Right, and prepping for a fast is really, really important.
Yeah,
so.
too, and we're totally going to talk about that as well in this video. But the third kind of fasting is dry fasting, and I did a dry fast. Again, I don't share this kind of stuff on social media, but I have done 2 dry fasts. And tell us about dry fasting.
So dry fasting is when our body is actually doing the majority of the healing. It doesn't have to worry about working and using any energy to digest any food or liquid. It's just using the liquid around the cells that are in our body as fluid, because we need fluid every millisecond of the day. And
water is life.
Water is life. You need water. Your brain needs water. Your heart, every vessel and every organ in your body needs water. So it basically collects the water around the damaged cells first, and then leaves those cells vulnerable, and they incinerate, and a brand new stem cell replaces whatever your body needs.
Yeah, so dry fasting is the most extreme, and
I don't recommend starting with a dry fast.
No, and that leads us right into the foundation. Is what fast do I do? What do I, you know, like a lot of people want to jump right into a dry fast when they don't have that foundation, and it's so important that we figure out what our diet is going to be like, because so many people, and myself included, in the past will do a fast of any kind, and then, you know, after the fast you break it properly or improperly, and within a week or 2 you're back to eating the regular stuff, because you don't have that foundation, you don't have that diet to fall back on. Right? So I always say, like, if somebody wants to fast and they come to me and they're like, what should I do for the fast? I always say, make sure that you are raw or high raw.
High raw would be epic.
For about 3 to 6 months before you even think about doing a fast, because you need to get that good foundation down. So when you break your fast, you're like, oh, I'm just going to go back to my regular way of eating, which is raw.
You're already programmed mentally and physically to do raw. But On the other hand,
yes.
if you're in critical condition,
this is
and
the
you
exception.
need to, you need to jump all the hoops and get right down to it, then you could physically and theoretically, psychologically and physiologically go ahead and do like a raw diet or smoothies for a week. And that way you're digesting the smoothies and raw foods, and then go into a fast.
And then again, like this is, we're talking, you're in critical condition.
You're in critical condition.
You need some healing. This isn't for the general population who's just eating, you know, barbecued chicken wings on Saturday, or going, like you said, or going on a cruise and eating really bad, and they're like, oh, I'm going to do a fast when I get home. Not like that. No, we got to be raw first. You know, treat your body with respect. You don't want to shock it into anything. You don't want to go, and when you're sick, you're already at that point.
You're in dire straits, so you're gonna do what you have to do. So
exactly. So for the general population, make sure that you have that good foundation, raw, high raw, vegan for sure, before you go into that. Have a good fallback. And also I wanted to mention, when you have a good fallback and you are already raw or high raw, you are more in tune with your body.
Yes, and that's so important.
You can hear those little subtleties in your body that tell you stuff. Like if you go onto a water fast from a standard North American diet, you know, unless you're sick, obviously, you're probably not going to be able to feel things. You're going to be going through like withdrawal from cooked food and salt and fat and sugar and all of that, on top of any caffeine and smoking. If you quit that too at the same time, you're going through so much during your fast that, you know, you're going to be going crazy. So it's good to have that foundation so you can be more in tune with the subtleties of your body in a healthier state.
People who eat cooked foods and animal products, they really can't feel what their body's trying to tell them when they're having symptoms, you know, digestively. So it's really important for you to be able to understand and be intuitive with your body. So super important. So preparing for a fast, getting ready for this fast, like we had said, you know, if you're critical, you can do like that smoothie thing, or you do 3 to 6 months before you decide on what kind of fast that you'd like to do. And before we talk about the prep, when would you recommend certain fasts for certain people? Like, you know, some people, you know, would be best doing a juice fast, some people a water fast, and some a dry. What would you say each one is best for? So I think if you're new to fasting, I think a juice fast is really the best place to start, because then your body gets used to not having any solid food for a short period of time, and you basically can come out of that and go back into eating raw foods, and then go ahead and do a water fast. You know, if that's where you want to go deeper, you know, and help clean and detox some, you know, whatever's going on with your body, whether it be whatever symptom the doctor has given the label to.
Yes. And when would you recommend a dry fast? Because I know a lot of people are probably interested in dry fasting.
So we dry fast every night when we sleep. So what I recommend people doing is just extending that out. So if the last meal of the day that you normally eat is at 8 o'clock, make it 6 o'clock. Instead of, you know, 8 o'clock in the evening, make it 6 o'clock. And then in the morning, instead of eating at 6 o'clock, wait until, you know, 8 o'clock. So you push it, you know, 12, 14 hours to start. I think that's a really good starting point for a dry fast. If you need to basically help get rid of any mass, your neck, wherever a, quote, tumor might be, the faster you can get to where you're dry fasting 24, 36 hours, at least twice a week, not consecutively, but maybe, you know, Sunday till Tuesday and then Wednesday till Friday morning. I've had such good results with some of the people that I've worked with that have really, you know, really have excelled at that. That's awesome. The masses have actually, you know, kind of gone more subtle and spread out and thinned and disappeared. So
that's so awesome. So that's definitely awesome. So preparing for a fast, you want to decide which fast you are going to go on. I would say definitely tell your friends and family.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be doing a fast, because they're going to be seeing you from a different perspective and seeing like, dude, you're like like super tired, or you know, what's with you,
with any kind of fast, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's
but
okay.
with any kind of fast, you're going to go through emotional detox.
Yes.
Major emotional detox, and that's very, very common.
Yeah, because
So-
you're not eating things that are numbing you, so you're really feeling a lot of stuff. It doesn't have
Exactly.
like a blockage with the cooked food
Exactly.
or even regular food.
Even regular
Yeah.
food, even raw food, you will go through an emotional detox. So if your family members and friends are aware of what you're doing and you can kind of prep them, then they're going to be more understanding and more, you know, supportive for you.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So it is good to tell people for those two reasons, you know, make sure that you're okay, right? Because, you know, I mean, if you're going off on a big hike somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you're going
Right.
to tell people where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So you want to tell people if you're doing this as well. And then you were telling me something about the blood pressure.
Right. So what I recommend people doing and checking their blood pressure before they go on a fast, because a lot of times people have trouble with palpitations, heart palpitations where their heart's beating really fast. And the blood pressure drops, and so they get lightheaded and dizzy. And it's good to find out where your baseline is before you have it done. And then if you do have those symptoms, to take your blood pressure again and see where it's at. Now, if it's extremely high, then that's dangerous. That, I would say, you need to basically take some other herbs for that, and we can get into that in another
Yeah, so
video.
you'd want to
but
break your fast
break your
and then
fast.
work on
You'd want to break your
healing that
fast
first.
But if your blood pressure is pretty normal, then it's basically just from your body detoxing. And deep breathing, holding your breath so that you force that carbon dioxide into your blood cells to help relax them, including your heart muscle, really does help. So deep breath in, hold it for 4 to 8 seconds, and then exhale very slowly. Same with inhaling and exhaling very slowly, so you force that carbon dioxide into your cells.
Yeah, so that's really good too. Making sure that you're prepared for the fast, knowing what you're going to experience, what you're going to feel, all of that is very, very important. During your fast, if you're doing a juice fast or a water fast, to drink often.
Yes.
Like a lot of people do this wrong, especially on the Master Cleanse. You know, some people just don't drink enough.
You need to drink
Yeah.
at least a gallon a day. At least a gallon a day. And that, if that means setting an alarm on your phone, so you basically say, oh, I've got to get another quart in me.
Yeah.
You know, don't drink it really quick, but, you know, kind of nurse it for an hour or two.
Yeah.
But make sure you get at least a gallon in,
Yeah.
because that really does help.
And on a juice fast, to chew your juice.
Yes, chew your juice. Even though it's liquid, just use that mastication, you know, process, because that helps, you know, basically excrete the enzymes. So your stomach is ready for that juice, and so it's very, very good for you to do that.
Yeah, because when you're
So-
fasting, peristalsis stops, right?
Right.
So there isn't that digestive action going on, so you want to help it out if you're doing a juice fast by chewing and get that amylase
Right.
going.
And
right?
peristalsis is what helps move our bolus of food all the way through our small intestine, out the large intestine, and out the, you know, out the rectum. And 3 days after just doing a liquid fast, that stops. And so that's why it's so important to make sure you not only do your chewing, you know, because you have those enzymes being excreted when you're doing juice fasting. When you're water fasting, it's not that important, because you're not going to be excreting. There's no food to go through. But juice fasting, it's important. So.
And what about enemas?
So enemas are really, really important. I praise the enemas, I tell you. It's important to do enemas on a water fast or a juice fast. Dry fasting, you know, if you're doing a hard dry, which is no contact at all with food or water at all, then I say hold off on that. But if you are doing a soft dry, which means you can brush your teeth, take a shower, do an enema.
So you're still absorbing water.
You're still
through
absorbing
your skin.
through your skin. So I would suggest you do that. You know, I would suggest you do an enema, because that just helps clean out the debris that's pooling in your small, you know, your part of your colon.
Right, and you want to get that out. The whole point of doing a cleanse is to get it out. So yeah, enemas are incredibly, incredibly important. So if you're doing a fast, aside from the straight dry, make sure that you have an enema bag. You can get enema bags at any, like, medical supply store. They're like $10. You can buy them on Amazon.
Yep.
They look like a water bottle bag, or you can get the bucket.
Or
right?
or CVS, Walgreens, any pharmaceutical or pharmacy, you know, supply store they have.
Yeah, they're gonna have them. And then what would you use for water?
So
or whatever, you know,
so
coffee.
I would use definitely distilled water. When I did Gerson for 9 months, I did 5 coffee enemas a day. So I got my fill of coffee.
She's a trooper.
But, but you can use a little bit of lemon. You can use baking soda. And it all depends on how much. You don't want to use a lot of baking soda, maybe a tablespoon per bucket. Lemon juice, probably about maybe a tablespoon would be good.
You don't need a lot.
You don't need a lot. So
for coffee, what would you do for that?
Coffee is, well, I would make it in bulk. So, but for a quart, I would probably do about maybe about two tablespoons.
Okay.
Boil it and then strain it, and then you can use that liquid.
Awesome.
If you want to make concentrate, you just make it more. So I would do a cup of coffee per 1 quart of distilled water. Well, about 1.5 because it boils off.
Yeah.
And then I would only use a half a cup of that liquid for 2 buckets.
Okay. Wow.
2 buckets of my
because you had to do so many
water
a day, so you were making it in bulk.
Yeah,
that makes total sense. But yeah, you want the water to be body temperature as well. You don't want it too cold or too hot, or that's going to feel kind of funky.
Right, and you can get a digital thermometer at a pharmacy, and that's really good to test the temperature. You don't want to put hot water. You know.
And you don't want to put cold water in either, because that feels really weird.
It really does. Yes.
So yeah, doing the enemas is super important as well. And now we want to talk about the most important part of your fast, which is breaking it. And I've broken my fast in very many different ways, which we're not going to talk about. But the best thing to do would be, say we're on a juice fast. What would you do on a juice fast?
So on a juice fast, you're juice fasting and you go however many days you decide to go. When you break that fast, you plan the day before you break your fast what you're going to do. It's always good to have a plan so that you know what you're going to eat, and water-rich fruits. Or, you know, especially on a juice fast, if you're going to introduce solid foods, so water-rich fruits, watermelon, oranges are really good to break a juice fast with.
You could even do like cucumber juice
or cucumbers. If you have any really juicy peaches, those are really good to break a juice fast on.
And mono meal is very good too. Don't want to mix all sorts of kinds of things all together. You can leave that for later on. But how many days would you say, like if you're coming off a juice fast, how many days would you say to eat like mono fruits? And then, you know, because you know how you kind of introduce things slowly, what would you do?
So I would suggest probably about 2 or 3 days of just mono fruit eating. And then you can have yourself a big salad, you know, if you want a salad in the evening. But, you know, most people eat fruit for breakfast and, you know, either fruit and a salad for lunch. It's important to separate the time of your fruit intake and your salad because your fruit digests so much faster. And when you have that fruit going in, it's about 15-20 minutes before it's out of the GI tract, your stomach. Then you can introduce greens, you know, so it's really important to be mindful of the timing.
Perfect. And then, so what about a water fast?
Water fast, I would go to juices. I would go to juices, and I would do juices probably for 2 to 3 days. It all depends, again, how long you water fast.
That makes a big difference too. The longer you water fast, the longer your body has been in a state of non-digestion. So you want to prep your digestive tract, you know, get it ready for food again. So and orange juice is one of the ones that are really good.
Orange juice is very, very good.
Because it mimics the stomach acid, kind of gets things going again. But watermelon juice, and you want to do juice first.
And then go to smoothies, especially doing water fasting. And then go to smoothies for a day or 2, and then you can go and eat solid foods, you know, solid fruits, mono meals again, preferably. And then salads, you know, so just gradually get yourself out of it. Bernard Jensen wrote in his book, he knows somebody who stopped his water fasting with potatoes, and it blocked up his GI tract because the peristalsis, the movement wasn't working, and he died. So you can get a bowel obstruction really easy. So it's very important to be mindful of that. In the hospital, when you have surgery, they give you anesthesia. You go to sleep for an extended period of time, and that anesthesia paralyzes your body, including your GI tract. And what happens is you aren't allowed to have anything liquid at all until they hear bowel tones. If they can't hear gas, you know, rolling around in your gut, then you don't get anything until you hear that. Because if they do give you anything, even a lot of water, if you drink a whole bunch of water, it still isn't going to go anywhere. You know, it's just going to stay there. It's going to get absorbed so much, but it's really important to, you know, break it slowly. So
what is it that stimulates that start of the peristalsis?
Well, it is basically just reintroducing, if you're doing a juice fast, then you're reintroducing water-rich fruits. And, you know, that
fact that it's there, it starts, your body's like, oh, okay.
And you don't want to eat a whole watermelon when you break your juice fast. You want to have a couple slices, and then maybe 3 or 4 hours later, maybe have a couple more slices. You know, you don't want to gorge when you break your fast at all.
So important.
Very important.
And even more so if you're dry fasting. So how would you recommend breaking a dry fast? Say you did like a not 72, let's say 48-hour dry fast, because that's pretty intense for a lot of people. So 48-hour one. So
48-hour, I would probably juice fast for at least 2 days after you stop your dry fast. If you go longer, so let's say you go 5-day dry fast, then I would juice fast for at least 4 days, and then go to water-rich fruits. So it's really important to break it very, very slowly. You don't want it, especially with you know, if you're doing this on your own and you're not being monitored by a naturopath or anybody else that's in the medical field, you know, or the knowledge base, and that can test your bowel tones. You want to be mindful of what you're doing so that you keep yourself safe. That's the main thing. What we're trying to share with you is to make sure that you keep yourself safe so you don't have any major complications.
Yeah, for sure. So, and again, another reason why I wanted to do this video is because I want safer information out there, because people they just jump right into whatever I did, and you know, it wasn't, because people can fast, people do fast, people fast all the time, but it's when they are not doing certain things right, or, you know, eating too many animal products before and they just jump right into it, or going off of it and eating pizza. You know, like stuff like that can actually harm your body. So I want to make sure that you guys get information from Linda's perspective, because she's done a lot of fasting. She healed herself from kidney cancer. So with fasting and fruit, and it's very important. She knows what she's doing.
And then also another thing to go into fasting, you know, really sit back and think about why you want to fast. And you know, write down your intentions, what you want to get from this fast. Because if you can keep your mindset going towards that direction of cleansing, you're going to stay on track and really be paying attention to why you're doing and what you're doing for your body.
So, that is so important, because in the past, if I've done anything like a water fast or a dry fast or whatever, like not even knowing that I would be during times of stress, because I'm a binge eater when I'm stressed out. I mean, in the past, I'm a binge eater. Like, I would just eat like a whole bowl of Chinese food or a whole bag of Doritos. Like, if I was stressed out, that's what I would do, because I would want to numb myself and get out of whatever stress it was. But since I've been a raw vegan, so for almost 4 years, I haven't had the ability to binge on stuff, right? Because the whole point of binging is to numb your emotions. And if you are binging, like, you could binge on mangoes, but it doesn't hide anything. You still feel stuff. So instead of defaulting to binge eating, because there's nothing to binge on, I would default to not eating at all. And when I would do that, I would be like, you know, you're stressed out, you're not focused, you're not listening to your body, you're not going through any of that kind of stuff. So it's different when you put the intention, plus when you were talking about the breathing. You can sit in a meditative state and do the breathing and get that oxygen going and everything. and focus on your intentions at the same time, because that can speed healing. We know how
Yes.
powerful our minds are.
Very important.
So yeah, setting an intention is very, very, very,
and
very
breathing,
important.
when you're doing any kind of dry fasting, you know, lengthy dry fasting, it's really important to include a breathing technique, because we get our water from the air.
just from
you know, it's just
around.
it's in the atmosphere. So
Totally, I know. Yeah, it's so important for breathing. And you could practice. I was telling her we could practice yin yoga, which is basically just stretching. And when I would do the dry fasts that I have done, I would do yin yoga, just basic stretching. You hold poses for 3 to 5 minutes. There's a lot of breathing, there's a lot of meditation. It practice in yin yoga, so that would probably be a good, if you feel like you need to stay in a routine, like, you know, keep exercising,
Right.
you know, because we fall out of a routine when you do a fast. You're like, oh, I haven't worked out in a week. Right, but to keep that momentum going, you could do yin yoga for sure. And another thing that we wanted to talk about, this isn't a race. We already said that at the beginning, but it's not a race, guys. If you are going to do any kind of fasting, don't try to beat someone else who's had it longer. Don't aim for 40. If you don't want to do 40 days and you're on day 28 or something, stop. If you feel
listen
you need
to your body.
Listen to
your body. Because your body's going to give you clues that you know that something's up, or it doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah, and you want to be safe. And the whole thing is that you can break your fast. You can eat for a little while, and then you can go
right back on it.
You can do it again, but you want to make sure that you stay safe. It's so important that if you want to venture into the world of fasting, to stay safe. Do it under care of a practitioner if you feel like you need that. Go to True North. True North is an awesome place for fasting.
That's in Northern California. I think Santa Rosa, I think, is where True North is at. So
and that is, if you guys want to do something like an extended, like 40-day or whatever, True North is the place to go for that if you want to be watched over, right? So cravings. Let's talk about cravings, because when you're fasting, you want to eat, and it is mostly psychological. I've noticed when I was dry fasting, it was more just like, I want to chew something. And it wasn't necessarily that I was hungry. I mean, I did feel hunger here and there once in a while, but for the most part, I wasn't hungry. It was just psychological. It was like, I could use salad right now. Where's my salad?
And that's why it's so important when you're juice fasting to chew your juice, because that mimics eating, and so it satisfies that. Whereas dry fasting, it's good to have like a cherry pit or a date pit just to suck on, to keep that, you know, juice, you know, your normal saliva going, because that helps, you know, eliminate that urge to eat. So that's because cravings definitely come into play, and
when
they
you're
come
fasting.
in about day 2, sometimes day 3, but by day 2 you're usually, if you haven't fasted before, just be prepared, and don't be fearful to break the fast. Break it, and then wait a week or a month or however long until your body says, okay, I'm ready to try it again, and then go again.
So, again, same thing. Don't force yourself. Don't try and be like this hero and fast for 80 days.
It's not a race, and it's not a competition with anybody.
Definitely.
So
yeah,
if
your
you
safety isn't a race.
If you have a group of people that want to fast with you, great. But everybody needs to play by their own rules and what their body dictates what they need to do.
Definitely, definitely. So expectations with fasting. A lot of people that I've noticed want to fast to lose weight. That's like the number one thing that people like to fast for. Number 2 would be to detox, because we all want to detox and all that kind of stuff. But the expectations, we all need to detox. I mean, we live in such a toxic world. But these expectations, sometimes people feel like they're going to lose all this weight if they juice fast. They're going to heal these things miraculously with, you know, a couple fasts here and there. But the expectations versus reality is not that. You're going to go through detox. You may gain weight back. So what do you say to people when they first go into a fast for expectations? So
most of the people that I deal with are ill. So I definitely tell them that if they're going to do a fast, and do a water fast is what I usually recommend, and they go slow. They do juice fasting, smoothies first, and then juice fasting, and then they go into a water fast. I basically have them, you know, have the expectation that when they go to refeed, they're going to feel totally different if they're if their body is in a major detox and they have to break the fast, then they've got to go through that, and enemas are so important when you're going through that whole physiological situation where you're detoxing really heavy. Enemas are foundational with fasting. If you're going to do a juice, water, dry fast, whatever, for weight loss, that is kind of
I know it's not. I don't like it when people say they're going to do a fast for weight loss, because it should be your diet, your foundation, right?
Yes.
That's where we're talking about the foundation. It's like if you get your foundation right, you know, you're going to start to lose weight, and you're going to work on the fasting as more of a healing modality, a detox aid. It's not supposed to be for weight loss.
And when you do, let's say you go, oh, I've lost my 15 pounds, and you go back and you basically break your fast, and then you go back to eating. If you aren't mindful what you're putting in your body, you're going to gain weight, because it's just mass. You're eating again.
Yeah, you're eating again.
Solid foods. But if you're not mindful and you're not doing mucusless foods, like raw foods basically, then you're going to go back right where you were.
So
right back where you were.
It shouldn't be like these people who are thinking it's going to be a great weight loss tool. It's not supposed to be a weight loss tool. We should be very respectful of fasting, because fasting is a very intense thing, right? We need to have respect.
And my clients that are ill, they're very concerned. A lot of times they've been through the allopathic way, the chemo and the radiation and stuff, so their weight is really a big issue. But when I've gotten them clean and they've eaten raw foods for maybe 3 to 6 weeks, and then we go on to fasting, they're all worried about the weight that they're going to lose. And I just tell them, don't worry about the weight. What you want to do is listen to your body. And if your body says that you're okay and you feel good, all you're doing is losing waste, not weight. So I have a different take on that than just somebody who wants to lose weight. If you are mindful, like Lissa said, if you're mindful, so when you break your fast and you go back to eating healthily, you know, and you're eating healthy foods and live living foods, low on the fat, avocados, nuts, and seeds, then you're going to continue to lose weight. You've already started the process.
Exactly. So yeah, it's basically like a journey. We all have to follow our own intuition, listen to our bodies. Again, if you're clean, you're going to hear those signals a lot easier. But there are issues that some people can have when they are fasting, and we want to talk about that just a little bit before we close off the video. But troubleshooting. So what are some common issues that people have with different kinds of fasting, and what can they do to help those symptoms? Like detox, for one, is a big one. So detox is pretty much the main symptom that you're going to experience when you first do a fast, whether it be water or juice. And what are typical detox symptoms, so people can tell the difference between a detox symptom and I'm getting sick and I have to eat food?
Anything. Headache, sore throat, body aching, fever.
Fever.
Anything.
Mucus, like a lot of mucus coming out.
A lot of dizziness. You know, you can get really dizzy. Anything you can possibly think of is probably a detox symptom if you weren't sick before you started your fast.
Good
That's
point.
what I say. So, you know, the sky's the limit with detox symptoms. And so let's say you have detox symptoms. What do you do? So what I suggest people do is enemas. Hello.
Enemas fix so many things.
So many things.
And I've heard too that on this kind of off topic, but enemas do help cleanse emotions as well.
Absolutely.
And I've known people who have a really, really bad day at work. They get home and just like so angry or annoyed or stressed or whatever, they go do an enema, and it's like, wow, I feel so much better, because you're cleaning not only your colon, but I mean the mind-gut connection, right? So if you're stopped up and you know you had a bad lunch with bad, you know, vibes around the lunch, like maybe your boss yelled at you, or you didn't get this project done in time, you're eating this food and it's causing this like blockage. So if you can do an enema, I know that's off topic, but I wanted to say that it's good to do enemas when you feel off.
It is. It's really, really important. I mean, it was in the Tabor's Medical Dictionary until 1972, I think. Then they took enemas out of the Tabor's medical dictionary, which was the dictionary that doctors and nurses learned by. But when you think about how toxins flow and get excreted through our body, through our colon, those toxins are sitting in the colon and reabsorbing. So if you get them out, then you're not reabsorbing all that poison. So of course you're going to feel better.
Very, 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 very important. And I like to tell people too, when they do any kind of like fasting, or not fasting, but like a cleanse that is, you know, clean food or raw food or whatever, to increase their fiber, because the fiber is what's going to pull the toxins out. But that's why we do enemas when we fast, because you don't have that fiber as the you know,
you don't have any solid food to help pull, so
so you got to do the enemas. It's so important.
Except for dry fasting, hard dry fasting. That's where you want to just lay low and listen to your body and just rest. There's clinics that basically do so many days dry fasting, and you basically are in bed until noon. They don't want to see you before noon. And you can get up and go outside and do some light yoga, and then you go back and take a nap, and then you get up and you go for a little walk, then you go back to bed. And so you're basically in a healing modality the whole time you're there. And so
very important to listen to your body too, because when you're dry fasting, it is pretty intense. Like you really do have to plan it, so that you are not doing anything, and you're doing a lot of reflective things. Again, comes into the intentions. You want to do a lot of reflective things while you're fasting. To help
good to
with
journal.
That.
Really good to journal.
Sleeping, meditating, really good to do that. That can help you through some of those detoxy things. What else can you do?
So the other thing you can do is you can, if you're not real keen on doing a long dry fast, you can alternate dry fast. So you can dry fast one day and then juice fast the next, and go back and forth, and you're basically in a state of regeneration the whole time, because even though you stop that dry fasting, your body's regenerating itself when you're doing juices.
Exactly. So, but you're giving yourself a little break if you
and you're getting your nutrition, but you're not digesting because it's liquid. So that's a very good healing modality, and I put a lot of my clients on that because it gives them the satisfaction of having something to intake, and it sets them up for that next day dry. So
and it's a lot easier to get through it because you're kind of looking forward to the next day instead of waiting 3 days, which can be very, very long when you're not eating, psychologically.
And that's what like I said in my video with my son Nathan, you know, Raw Natty Nate. I really believe not just doing fruit, but it was the dry fasting that really helped me, because I did long dries every day. I did 18 to 20 hours a day of dry fasting. I didn't eat or drink anything. So it's really, really, if you look up dry fasting, you find out how, and I'll do a video on dry fasting here pretty soon.
You need to do a whole video on that.
Because there's so many aspects of dry fasting that's so healing for all parts of your body. So
that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I hope you guys loved this video. I know there's tons of information. If you want more information, Linda's going to be doing a lot more videos on fasting, on healing, you know, serious illnesses, because that's what she deals with. That's what she went through, and that's her experience. So if you want, definitely head over to Live Love Raw. On Instagram, it's live_love_raw, and on YouTube, it's live-love-raw. So yeah, you can find her on either of those. Definitely go and check her out, because she's amazing. And she's my new mummy. So I'm so blessed to be here, and thank you definitely for sharing all of this information with everybody, because again, I never wanted to share any of this because I didn't feel like I wanted to tell people to, you know, to go do a juice fast when people just jump right in, and I wanted to get someone with deep experience to help me with this video.
But I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing my experiences with it, and what I've shared experiences with my clients and seen the results. Fasting is the way to regenerative health. It really is.
So thank you for sharing,
yes,
and remember guys, check with your practitioner if you need to. Definitely make sure that you take every precaution to be safe if you are going to venture into a fast.
Exactly. Very, very important.
So if you like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel and Linda's channel.
Yes, thank you.
To get notifications for more. You can find me on Facebook, Lissa's Raw Food Romance. On Instagram, I am Raw Food Romance, and on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. You can find Linda, again, Live Love Raw on both Instagram and YouTube. But until the next video, guys, I hope you enjoy some beautiful fruit, maybe venture into fasting, but thank you very much for watching.
Thank you so much, and you all have a blessed day. Bye.
Perfect. There we go. Congratulations! You just did an amazing video. Holy crap.
When you here, don't ever leave me.
That was freaking amazing! Seriously, like all the info, like holy, this is like a jam-packed information video, man. We talked about so much stuff.
We did talk a lot about,
so good. Okay, so I think it's like 40 minutes, but that's fine.
Yeah,
people are gonna love it.
Okay. Animals in the wild, you know, or domestic. Animals, wild or domestic, know that when their body's not healthy and there's something going on, that they don't eat or drink just out of instinct.
Out of instinct. It is instinct.
Yep.
And that's really the, I mean, there's only 2 times that animals fast, is when there's no food around, so they fast, right? Or if they're severely sick, right? And we live in such a toxic world that it's, you know, we need to be doing stuff to make sure that we are, you know, stay on top of the game, I guess, to say. But yeah, animals in the wild fast when they're sick.
Right, they just fast out of intuition.
So, I mean, fasting is a part of animal life, and we are animals, so, yeah.
And healing.
And healing, yeah. So fasting.